Okay, is more than or is greater than? This sign is your greater than sign. The opposite of that is less than. And I told you, if you forget, the less than sign makes an L for the word less. So you need to make sure you understand what the inequalities mean, because that makes graphing them and answering questions easier. Greater than or equal to has the equal to line under the greater than. The opposite is less than or equal to.
What's today?
The 22nd. Alright, is at least, if I had at least $5 in my pocket, I might have $5, but I might have 10. So is at least is greater than or equal to. The opposite would be is at most, which is less than or equal to. Is no less than, so if I had no less than $5 in my pocket, I don't have anything smaller than that. I might have $5, but I definitely don't have 4. So again, it's greater than or equal to. And the opposite of no less than would be is no more than, which is less than or equal to. So when you're reading word problems or when you're reading things like these bottom examples, you want to make sure you understand what sign you need to write. Number 1 says twice the number increased by 4 is at least 6. So twice the number increased by 4, we've done this part before. Twice the number would be 2n. Increased by, we're adding 4. And this part is new. Is at least is what sign? Greater than or equal to 6. When you see the word is, that means it's some sort of equality. Like in our equations, it's an equal sign. For inequalities, is means greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. What does quotient mean?
The answer of a division.
Good, the answer of a division problem. And what numbers are we dividing? Okay. And what does decreased by mean?
Subtract.
Good. And is no more than, what sign is that?
The less than.
Okay, right here is no more than is less than or equal to 3. Alright, 4 times. What does the sum of mean? The answer to, what's the sum? Is the answer to what? An addition problem. And right now we have multiplication. How do I show that I want to add before I multiply? Good. So we're going to put a number in 7 in parentheses because I want to add that first. We didn't do it with quotient because in our order of operations we would already divide before we subtract. So 4 times the sum of a number in 7, we need to multiply first. And is at least, what sign is that? Okay? Okay, and this one, number 4, this is your test question. And it's on your test because of this word less than. This is what everyone gets confused about. Notice it just says less than. It does not say is less than. So is less than is our less than sign. But just 8 less than negative 3 times a number means subtraction. But if you were to think about someone with money, if I had $10 and Michael has $2 less than I do, so 2 less than 10, he would only have $8. 2 less than 10 is 8. 10 minus 2 is 8. So this 8 less than means we need to switch it around and then subtract. So negative 3 times a number, negative 3 times a number, and 8 fewer than that we need to subtract at the end. So 8 less than negative 3 times a number is negative 3n minus 8. This less than word is very important. You subtract at the end. It is not 8 minus negative 3 end. That's bad. Subtract at the end. Alright, and then is at most, what does that word mean? Good, negative 14. So make sure you understand what this word less than means when you're translating. Number 4, the question on your test will have the word less than in it. I know that because I finalized your test yesterday.
You have a test today?
No, your test is after Thanksgiving. But I'm telling you, this question is on your test. Do not get it wrong. Alright, I flip it over? Okay. If we're going the opposite way, there are lots of different ways that you can translate things. On your test, it will be a multiple choice question. So you just have to make sure you can take words and pick the right answer. This could be the product of 5 and a number decreased by 3. 3 less than 5 times a number. 5 times a number minus 3. Any of those would be right. The way you would probably see it is 3 less than 5 times a number. The only way to write greater than is greater than or is more than. So 3 less than 5 times a number is greater than 16. And number 2, we could say half of a number increased by 5, 5 more than half a number divided by 2, the quotient of a number in 2. Any of those would work. So I'm going to choose to write half a number increased by 5. This sign, less than or equal to, if we look on the front, what else could we see? Or? Okay, so you can pick one of those. Oops, sorry. So half a number increased by 5 is at most negative 3, is no more than negative 3, is less than or equal to negative 3. Okay, and word problems. Everyone's favorite. Keith has $500 in a savings account at the beginning of the summer. He wants to have at least $200 at the end of the summer. So he's starting with $500. He wants to have at least $200 left in the end. But he's going to take out $25 per week for food, clothing, and movie tickets. How many weeks can Keith withdraw money from his account? So what are we looking for? What does the question ask? So we're going to look for a number of weeks. Alright, so we're going to start with $500. And what does withdrawal mean? What kind of answers? So we're going to take out $25. How often? Every week. So that's where our variable goes. So the amount of money in the account would be 500 minus 25 times however many weeks I've taken money out. And he wants at least $200 left in his account. What'd you say? Yeah, so we want this to be greater than or equal to 200. So all of this money in our account, we want this part to be more than 200, or equal to would be okay. When When we solve this, subtract 500 from both sides. Divide both sides by negative 25. And you flip your sign because you're dividing by a negative number.
What's the number going under 200?
Sorry, this is negative 300. And then this is negative 25 because that's what we're dividing both sides by. So the number of weeks that he can withdraw money is less than or equal to 12. If he took out money for 12 weeks, he has exactly $200 left in his savings account, which is fine. But if he took it out for 15 weeks, he has taken out too much money. If he took it out for only 1 week, that's great. So this makes sense. The fewer number of weeks you take out money, the more money you have in his account, and he wants to make sure he has enough money at the end of his account for rent or whatever. So with your inequality sign, check and make sure that that inequality sign makes sense for the solution. Alright, last one. Mariella's parents have budgeted $575 for her quinceañera party. The cost of the room is $75, and each person's meal is $15. What is the maximum number of guests she can have stay within the budget? What are we looking for? A maximum number of guests. So we can use G for the variable. You could use X. It's not a big deal. Alright, so the total amount she has that she could possibly spend is $575. Things that she's going to use that on is $75 for the room and $15 for every single person that comes. So that's where our variable goes because it happens a repeated amount. Now, at the end of the day, do you want your budget to be bigger or do you want the amount of money you spend to be bigger? You'd rather have the budget be bigger in case you have extra money. So when we solve this, you get 33.3 repeating. Is that right? Okay. You cannot invite a third of a person. That just doesn't make sense. So again, we want to make sure our answer makes sense. We want the number of guests to be less than or equal to 33. Because if I round it up and I invited 34 people, I don't have enough money in my budget. Maybe my parents would be nice and let me invite that one extra person, but that would be over budget. So you want the guests to be less than 33, whole people. And that makes sense. The fewer guests that she buys, the less it costs, so you're staying within budget. Okay? Questions?